Hello everyone, thanks for joining me for today's Lunch and Learn. I'm Keith Armour, I'm the Education Homework Support Manager down here at the main library. Today we're going to talk about genealogy. We're going to talk about the resources that you can find here on the library's website, as well as talk about Ancestry, but the library edition. That edition is usually just available when you're actually in one of our buildings. But until the end of this year, you can still have access at home and really do a lot of great work on genealogy in your family tree. So we're going to look at those resources. We're also going to look at something that the Genealogy and Local History Department does every Thursday for us, and that is Throwback Thursday. So I want to show you some past Throwback Thursdays. It just has great information, especially about anything that has happened locally here in the Cincinnati area. So we're going to take a look at that, and let's dive right in. Well, all right, we've arrived at our website, cincinnatilibrary.org. I took us right here to previous blog posts that center around Throwback Thursday. This is a feature that is on our social media Facebook page every Thursday. It's provided by the Genealogy and Local History Department. And they do such a fantastic job putting all of this together. So let's just take a look at one. This is Samuel Hannaford, who built the foundation of Cincinnati, and that is so true. There is a picture of him right here, a very distinguished looking gentleman. That's a young Samuel Hannaford who came to the United States. And there's the old Cincinnati Workhouse over on Corrane Avenue, the Westwood School, the St. George Church, of course, the Mount Lookout Observatory, and you have the University of Cincinnati, and of course the most famous of his buildings that is still standing is of course Music Hall. I just went to a wonderful Holiday Pops concert, and the building is just so beautiful on the inside, and thank goodness that we all supported renovating that. But on the outside it is just so beautiful as well, and it goes perfectly with Washington Park. But what I love about not only Throwback Thursday with the pictures, but they provide you some really good information as well that's totally researched and backed by the department. And of course, here's the Custom House and Post Office. Hannaford did have two sons that joined his business, and they carried on his legacy after he passed. There's the other iconic building that is still standing in Cincinnati, and that of course is Cincinnati City Hall. And these two buildings here, these two structures, are part of Eden Park. And this one is actually right around the corner on, let's see, that'd be 8th Street, on right around the corner from the downtown library. And this part right here, the arch, is the most distinguished part when you're looking at it on the sidewalk. But the armory's still there. There's the Phoenix Club. And of course, Samuel Hannaford died in 1911, and his sons carried on the tradition. But you know, the firm actually stopped in the 1960s. He is buried in Spring Grove Cemetery, and he actually designed the Norman Chapel that is over there as well. But definitely check out these past blog posts here, and also don't forget about our digital library. Our digital library collection is just phenomenal. It has so much information, a part of our really special collection. And you can just click through and find all sorts of great information here on Cincinnati and the local history right here. One that I really love that we have is a first edition of A Christmas Carol. And here it is in its entirety. The entire book is here. And you'll notice that here I'm going to click on one of the great illustrations. There it is, Mr. and Mrs. Fezziwig having their party. And I just love the fact that you could go through and read each section. It was a very small book, but it is part of the collection here at the Cincinnati Hamilton County Public Library. But you can have access with it all year long just by clicking through and reading it. You can even print off those as well. Okay, so definitely check that out. I just think Throwback Thursday is just a really great feature, and it's just a fun way to look for it. So we're going to go to research databases on our main website, and it says by areas of interest. We're going to click right here to view all. And these are all of the different areas of interest and all of the great information that we have that's just a click away. But we are going to go to genealogy. And these are the ones that are featured right here. Ancestry, the library edition, we're going to talk about that the most. Of course, there's the digital library collection where you have all this access to all of this rare materials, especially if you can't make it downtown. And then, of course, news decks here. But some of the other resources, the African American heritage information is here as well. You've got Find My Past, and that's a special collection that is through the Cincinnati Archdiocese. And that's only available, you actually have to come to the main library, or you can go to the Green Township Library, and you can have access to that information. The Fold 3 History and Genealogy Archives are here. Heritage Quest, there's Newsbank, News Desk again, and 19th century U.S. newspapers, and then ProQuest historical newspapers as well. All right. We're going to come up here. We're going to spend most of our time, well, we're going to spend all of our time on Ancestry Library Edition. And this is, they have given us permission to have you have home access all the way until the end of this year. And so definitely take advantage of that because what's going to happen in the new year in 2022, you'll have to come back to a library branch. It could be any of our branches, but to use this feature at home now, you have access all the way until the end of this month. So we're going to click here. And of course, it had a little library card. So if you are using it at your home, another window would pop up and you'd have to put in your library card number and your PIN. If you have forgotten your library card or your PIN, give us a call at 513-369-6900. Now, when you first open the Ancestry Library Edition, this is different than, it's got some of the same information, but you have a lot more when you're paying for it. And this library edition does have a great deal of information, especially to just get genealogy started for you. It has the U.S. Census records from 1940 all the way back to the very first one in 1790. And then, of course, you can begin searching here by just clicking there. And you can type in first name, a last name, where you think your ancestor might have lived, and you're thinking about the city, the county, the state, and the country, and then estimate the birth year. And then there's all this other information here as well. So I'm going to go back. And also on the front page, you've got the Search the Census. And it goes from 1790 to 1940. And then you've got Search Vitals, Search the Military, Search Immigration, and then some quick links down here. So to me, I think this is very overwhelming at first. When I started doing some research on my mother's side of the family and my father's side of the family, it was a lot easier to start up here at the very top and what's called the Learning Center. I'm going to click here, and this is some research aids for you, okay? Now, if I click here on maps, if I click on the state of Ohio, I'm going to see all the counties in that state. My ancestors lived in the Tennessee area, so I wasn't really sure what the counties were. So by clicking there, I find a lot of information about Tennessee. Now, here are 6 different sections that kind of get you started. And this is the whole getting started section. You've got Ancestry Anne's top 10 search tips. If you click right there, it opens up to a PDF. And she's talking about how you're doing some basic information here and how to use the website. That's what's really important. I could spend the next 5 hours explaining this, but it's so much better. You have the tips right here at your fingertips as well. Here's creating timelines to produce answers. Once again, when you're looking at the census records, it's sometimes a little bit difficult to understand how to put all of that information together and how to read that information. So here's some tips. Here are the census. I'm going to go right here to 10 census tips. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And you'll notice that this picture really does explain how that information was gathered. The last census that we did, you could fill out things electronically. You could go, we were actually helping people fill out their information here at the library. But they used to, and they still do some checking in person, but they would actually have someone write this information down. So something to remember, and I love this one right here, this tip. I used my favorite census search trick when I was trying to find my husband's great-grandparents with the surname Carter in 1870. Instead of being hung up on the exact spelling of their last name, I tried a wild card where you replace one or more letters of a name with an asterisk. I chose Carr and included a birthplace of Ireland since the wife was born there, and I left off the first names. And that is something that's really important. When I was looking at my mother's side of the family, the last name was a little bit different. And that's because the census writer wrote it down incorrectly, or my great-grandparent might have said something a little bit different. They were from the South. Sometimes maybe it was a northern census taker. I don't know. But that's the way that's why these census tips are really going to help you focus in on how to look at that information. And of course, comparing handwriting, you can even reverse the surname and the first name as well, and then just browse the information. And of course, think differently as you're looking at this information. But I love it. It has getting started, the census, beyond the basics, and looking at some religious records. If your family has been part of the Cincinnati area and you want to look at those archdiocese records, maybe taking a look at their tips for religious records first before you go to Green Township or come down to the main library to take a look. And of course, if you have a different way of looking at information through an ethnic lens, we have a lot of German people with German ancestry. I'm going to get the words out right. And you might want to look at that information on how to search because the names might have changed in part of the immigration process, or they might have been part of the military as well. So I like this area to start. It's called the Learning Center, and you go right here, and the research aids will just give you some really great information. And because they're PDFs, you could save it on your computer, or you could print them out as well. And then you could pass them on to someone too, if they're helping you, it's a family thing that you're trying to do these records in other areas of the country as well. And if you come over to Charts and Forms, I'm going to click on Charts and Forms. Once again, you've got the Charts and Forms here. You've got an Ancestry chart, so you can download the form and print it out. Research calendar, you can find out where you've searched. A correspondence record, research extract, family group sheet, and then a source. But you can download and print all of those forms right there on your computer. The census forms are here, and you can download the information so you can see what the form looked like, so you can get they do change the form just a little bit from each time that they do it. Okay. Now, I think that's all that I wanted to show you when it came to the genealogy. They do have the search feature here where you can do the census and voter lists, birth, marriage, and death, military, immigration, and travel, and then the card catalog. The message center, the message boards, maybe you are looking, there's a lot of different categories here, and you can type in some information here as well. The Learning Center, once again, I think is the best place to start. And then, of course, the new collections are right here, and you can type in and see some new records that have just been added or updated, okay? And you can look at all of the information over here. So I'm going to go right back to the digital library. Well, I didn't mean to go that far back. Let me go back one to genealogy and research databases. Once again, the way that I got here, I went to the main page, came to research databases, then said view all, and then came to genealogy right there, and then there's all the information. And once again, Ancestry Library Edition is available for home use all the way until the end of this year, December 31st, 2021. And then in 2022, you'll just have to come to one of our 41 branches across the Hamilton County area. All right. Let me click out and tell you a few more things, and we'll call it a day. Well, all right. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I appreciate it. We will have another Lunch and Learn next Thursday. Don't forget, always look for that Throwback Thursday feature, especially on our Facebook page. It's always, I get all excited about finding out what they're going to put up next. The Ancestry Library Edition is available all the way until the end of this year, and then it will be back at the library where you can have access at one of our branches. All right? Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.